Hi, I'm Rodney, and today we're going to go through the Godox trigger and flash system and figure out how to work them together. All right, so often one of the biggest questions I get is, how do I use my trigger to fire my flash? How do I set them up? What works? How does this all work together? And in my previous videos, I've done a lot of stuff with my Godox system. However, I haven't gone through how to set them up and how they work together. So this is what we're going to be doing today. So first of all, when we look at our flashes, this one here is the Godox V860, and this is the Flashpoint Zoom Li-Ion. They're the same flash. One is made for Canon and one is made for Nikon. When we have them on camera, so if this is straight on your camera and you're not using the trigger system, what we want to make sure is that they're in ETTL mode, or in a Nikon, it'll be at ITTL. So to change them from one mode to the other, the button here at the bottom has got sort of the little back and forth button. So we can just click on that and we'll get our ITTL. So now if we're going on camera flash, this is the way to go, our ITTL, or on the Canon, it's ETTL. The zoom on here, they're both set to 24 millimeters. And if we want to change the zoom, we look at the ZM custom function button, and that is basically our zoom button. So if we click on that and rotate the dial, we can adjust the zoom. So the zoom is what, it's going to either narrow the beam of light or it's going to make it wider. Typically at 24 millimeters, it's going to be a wide angle. And when we go up to 100 millimeters or 200 millimeters, it's a very narrow angle, sort of like a spotlight effect. So that's the zoom. And again, that's by hitting the ZM custom function button and then just rotating the dial, and we can get our zoom that way. So typically it'll start at 24 millimeters. That's sort of our standard, and that's where the starting point is. If it's on the camera, it will zoom with your lens. So if you zoom your lens in, it'll automatically adjust for that. But when we're going off camera, that's when it affects it. To go off camera, we've got our trigger here, and we're going to start off by just turning it on. So the on is on the side here, and we've got a couple of things. We've got our channel and our 5 groups. So channel 1 and our groups. If we want to change the channel, again, just like before, we can see the ZM, which is the zoom, and the channel button. So if we hit that and hold, now all of a sudden our channel is lit up, and by rotating the dial, we can adjust our channel number. So you might want to be on channel 17, click the set button, now we're on channel 17. We want to change it back to 1, which is where I sort of live. We just change it back to 1. So that's really very simple, and there's 32 channels on these things. So now we're on channel 1, and we've got 5 groups. We've got group A, we've got group B, C, D, and E. So that's how we change that. How do we get our flashes? Now we're on channel 1. How do we make sure our flashes go from not ETTL or ITTL, which is on camera flash? If we want to change them to being off camera with our radio controller, we simply, again, hit the lightning button here, and we're going to move it until we get our radio controlled, so our little lollipop, and we're going to get the radio controlled with the ITTL. Now, it's telling me that we're radio controlled, ITTL, we're on channel 1, which is what our trigger's on. So these are on the same channel now, and this is on group A. If we want to change the channel button, or change the channel or the group, we can, again, there's lit up as channel, so we touch and hold on that, and now we're lit up and we can change the channel. So our channel is on channel 1, and right now we're on group A. It's on slave mode, which means that the trigger is in control. So right now, if we click our group A, we're at 1/64th power. So if we hit our flash button here, our test flash button, we will notice that, I'm just going to move this a little farther away from the camera. Once we hit that, it will fire, and it'll also tell us that we're on 1/64th power. So it's already adjusted the power to what our trigger has got it set at. When our transmitter, if we want to switch to the group, so maybe we have our main lights on channel A and we want to have this on channel or group C, then we can simply, there's the channel and the GR is for group. So if we press on the group, we can simply, it'll turn it to channel B or group B, hit it again, it becomes group C, and again, it just rotates through. So maybe we want to make this our background light or our hair light. It's group C. We touch on group C here, and again, we can adjust the power. And we'll make that a 30-second power. It's like a pie. It's 1/32. It's 1/1 is full power. 1/32 is like a small piece of pie. So again, we're going to hit our lightning bolt here, which is our test button, and we're going to fire that. And immediately this moves to 1/32 power. So it automatically does what our transmitter has told it to do. So that's how we can control both our flash with our transmitter. If we want to use two flashes and have different power coming from each of them, we can do that. Now, one's a Nikon flash and one's a Canon flash, and you think, well, can I use them together? Absolutely, they're Godox, and it's one big ecosystem. So with my trigger, I can have, even though one's a Nikon flash and one's a Canon, I can have them set and I can control them both from my trigger. So if we look at this is on ETTL mode. So again, we go to our little lightning bolt here and we move it to the lollipop, and we want to make sure that we're on the lollipop on slave A. And so this is group A right now. If we wanted it to be group B, we just hit the group button, and now we're on group B, and we're on channel 1. So we've got group B, we've got group C, and again, we've got our transmitter here, so we can go to B. We're at a 64th power on that. So if we hit our flash test, both flashes are going to fire. You'll notice that the Nikon one is set at a 30-second power. The Canon is set at a 64th, just like it should be for group B and group C. So that is how we control the groups with our transmitter. There's a few other things that we want to be aware of. Maybe you want to have one of these on ETTL mode or ITTL, so the camera does the metering even though it's off camera. Totally fine, you can do that. So this is where maybe we say our Nikon one here, we want to make it be ETTL. There's a mode button here right beside the lightning bolt. So if we hit the mode button, now it's going to be off. So this flash is set to off. If we fire the trigger, it's not going to fire. Only the Canon one fires. If we wanted to make it ETTL or ITTL, we hit the mode button again, and now it's through the lens metering, and it's set for through the lens, but the default on this is minus 2.7 stops. So it's 2.7 stops underexposed. If we want that to be a 0, we can simply click on our set button, rotate the dial, and bring it down to 0, and now it'll be ETTL. It'll be the perfect exposure, what the camera thinks is the perfect exposure for us. And if we hit set, now we're set. So now the Nikon flash is going to be ETTL, and you'll notice it's moved to ITTL up here instead of manual, whereas the Canon flash is still set for manual at the top beside the lollipop. So that is how these systems work. The mode button will move you on any particular channel. If you're any group that you're on, the mode will move you from TTL to manual to off just by hitting the mode button. So there's that. Yeah, that's the basics of that. One last thing with these flashes is if maybe you're using this in ETTL or ITTL mode, so we're going to get back to that. So it's on camera, and you use it and the flash is too bright. If you want to adjust the brightness of it, there's the flash plus or minus, which happens to be button 2 here now. So if we click on that, we can adjust. If it's too bright, we would underexpose it. So we go -1, give that a try. We can go -2, -3, or if it's not bright enough, it's too dark, we can just hit that button and move it so that it's overexposed. So this will be a +1 stop, means it's going to overexpose by 1 stop. And again, click our set and we're done. So if we want to change the flash power, that's simply done in ITTL mode by hitting the ± flash. Now we're at 0, which is the perfect exposure theoretically. So that's how we use the Godox trigger and flashes to create the result that we want. I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, please feel free to hit the like button, leave me a comment, or subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have an amazing day.